Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. Alright, we're going to do a special Christmas episode of Bites and Nibbles today. Today we are going to make a Christmas recipe, something that my mom has prepared for years and years and years, is to become a staple of ours on Christmas Eve. It's going to be my mom's Swedish meatball recipe. Let's go, this is going to be great. Now, as I said, this has been a staple of Christmas Eve at my house for many, many years. I just looked at the recipe. It turns out the recipe came to my mom from a friend of hers named Karen. So this is actually her recipe. But like I said, it's been something that I've had every Christmas Eve for many, many years, and I'm looking forward to having it again because honestly, I haven't had it now since the last time I went home for Christmas, which was the Christmas before my father passed away. So this is going to bring back some memories. So these are our ingredients for our Swedish meatballs. We're going to start off with some ground round, some ground pork. We're going to make some breadcrumbs out of the bread. We need butter, we need flour, sugar, salt, pepper, milk. Optional ingredients if you're into them. I love mushrooms, so we're going to put some sliced mushrooms in it, some condensed milk, or evaporated milk, pardon me, some allspice, nutmeg, an onion, and an egg. Okay, a bunch of things are going to happen really quick now, so I've done a little prep work. First off, I have 1/3 cup of an onion that I've minced. I have 1 egg and 1/2 cup of milk that I've beat together, and I'm going to mix in my breadcrumbs with that and let that soak for about 5 minutes. Alright, now that I got the butter melted, I'm going to throw on the onions, and we're just going to saute those for a few minutes until they're nice golden brown. Alright, now that the onions have been properly sauteed, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix my milk, my egg, and my bread mixture into a large bowl, into a large mixing bowl, along with my onions. And we'll get the rest of those in a second here when I have a spare hand. I have 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of allspice, and 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. We're going to mix that in. And we are going to put in 1 pound of ground round and 1/4 pound of ground pork. And we're going to put that all in there. Now the recipe actually says mix it up with a fork, but I'm kind of like Tim the Tool Man. I've got more power, and I'm going to use my blender with a kneading tool. I think that'll do just as good a job with about half the effort, because more power is a good thing. And now we've kneaded our meat mixture for a couple minutes, and it's like kind of a smooth consistency. This is about ready now. So next I'm going to take my meat mixture, and I'm just going to use a little spoon, and I'm going to grab out a little bit of the meat, and I'm going to roll it up into a ball. Now the recipe actually says about a 1/2 inch ball. I'm going to make them a little bit bigger than that. That's just me. And I'm just going to put them on the plate here. And we're just going to make a whole bunch of meatballs. If these things are as good as I remember them being, it'll be worth the trouble. And what you hear happening in the background is when we cook these things, it recommends putting them into a casserole dish that's just kind of warm. So what I did is I put my glass casserole dish in the oven at the lowest temperature would go, which was about 170 degrees. So that's what we're gonna put them in, and that was the oven getting ready and telling me that it's ready to have the meatballs put in them when they're ready. So just kind of thinking ahead a little. So I think we're going to start with those. So we're going to go right back to the same skillet. We're going to melt another 2 tablespoons of butter, and we are going to evenly cook our meatballs on all sides till they're a nice golden brown. So now that I got the butter melted, I'm just going to put the meatballs in here in the middle, just kind of keep them separated here. And we're going to cook them on all sides, get them nice and brown. Alright, let's just see what that looks like in a couple minutes. Alright, the first batch of meatballs is starting to come together, looking pretty good. We're going to continue to brown them a little bit because some of them are a little pink on some sides. But I think we're just about there. Now I move my meatballs into the warmed casserole dish, and we're going to move on with the second batch. Alright, now that I've completed my meatballs, I put them back in the casserole dish, and I've actually put them in the oven a little bit at a low temperature just to keep them warm. Now we're going to start with the grease that's left over from the meat, and what we're going to do is we're going to pour in 1 cup of water, 3/4 of a cup of condensed milk, or the evaporated milk, I'm sorry. Next we're going to put in 2 tablespoons of flour, 1 teaspoon each of salt and sugar, and 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. I put a little bit more black pepper in because, you know what, I like black pepper. We're going to mix this all together and just kind of cook it on a low temperature until it kind of thickens, and it will apparently do that a little bit on its own. And then we're going to reintroduce the meat, and we'll be pretty done with this. Now, like I said, there's an extra ingredient I'm going to put in here. It's an optional ingredient. You can do it if you want or not. I am going to do it, and that's the mushrooms. And we're going to, after we kind of let this thicken up a little bit, we're going to add in the mushrooms. Now simultaneously, while I'm waiting for the sauce to thick up, I'm going to prepare some rice because it recommends serving it over white rice. So this is just it's a cup of white rice, and the Instant Pot actually recommends a 1-to-1 water to rice ratio. But I found about a 10-to-1 ratio works better. So that's what I'm going to do. So 1 cup of rice is going to equal 10 cups of water. So there's 4 cups, 8 cups, and 10 cups. Just gonna put the lid on there. I'm gonna go with the recipe they recommend on the Instant Pot for the time. I'm gonna cook it for about 4 minutes at high pressure. Alright, the sauce is thickened up pretty nice. I've added the mushrooms at this point. I'm gonna lower the heat a little bit, and now we're gonna add the meat, and we're just gonna let it all kind of percolate together. Alright, I'm just gonna kind of mix it all together, and we're gonna let it just cook for a little while. Like I said, I left the meatballs in the oven at about 200 degrees for a while, just to kind of keep them warm. Also, maybe kind of cook the interior a little bit. Sometimes when you cook it on the outside, it gets nice and crispy on the outside, but it's still a little pink on the inside. So by leaving it in the oven for a little while, we kind of finished the cooking process. But that's starting to look pretty good. I'm just going to let that soak now until the rice is done. Alright, our rice is ready. Let's vent. And while that's going on, our sauce is thickened up really nice. This is going to be good. I'm looking forward to this. Alright, it's moment of truth time here. These things look right, so I'm looking forward to this being exactly as I remember it, but let's try. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's exactly how I remember it. These are good. I was going to try and make a little rice to go with it. The rice didn't really come out really well. There was a rice button on the Instant Pot, and I decided to go with that, and I think it overcooked it a little bit. So I'm just trying the meatballs without the rice, but we'll try that again. Make some more rice in a little bit more appropriate time. When I noticed when I pushed the rice button on it, once it hit pressure, it cooked for 20 minutes, and I think that just overdid the rice. The rice should have gone for about 4 minutes. And white rice is something I don't do a whole lot of in the Instant Pot, so gotta figure out what the exact recipe for that is. But these Swedish meatballs are perfect. They're exactly what I remember having when in the last few years and last 20 years or so. So definitely recommend this one. This brings back a lot of old memories. I'll put the recipe down in the description below. Check it out if you like. And until then, I think that's all that I have for today. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Bon appetit.